Welcome back to some more Rune Factory. The last two episodes were kind of the same episode twice. Sorry about that, everyone. It kind of... yeah. Only real way I have to explain it is that I tried to make two separate videos. Well, I tried to make one separate video. Yeah, the recording failed during the first one, so I tried again for the second one. And then I realized, days after uploading, that, hey, I uploaded the wrong video. So really that was more of like a half video that was labeled as a full video, and frankly, I'm not caring enough to change that, so, you know, whoops. Remember I like double and triple check to make sure the video is right, it's about an hour long, blah blah blah, but that time I absolutely did not. And frankly, I'm just going to chalk that up to the stress of some bad news that I heard recently. Now, yeah, I don't really want to talk about it, and I know I talk about basically everything, but what I will say is that despite it being very stressful news, from as far as I know, things are okay. As far as I know, things are okay in that regard, but it's still kind of stressful to think about, so you know what, going an extra day without having to record stuff, was really a blessing in disguise. Right now, however, in the vein of other stuff to talk about, I don't exactly have a whole ton to talk about. I really haven't been doing much. I've been in a kind of low mood. But, I mean, most of these past couple of days, yesterday, on Sunday, I finally did my first, My Little Pony RPG, and that was fun. It's interesting to run a tabletop game where you just don't have traditional combat. You just have the characters going through obstacles, but the obstacles aren't strictly, hey, fight this. Yeah, there was one part where they were up against a group of diamond dogs, and so one of the party members was all like, okay, I would like to roll performance to distract them, while the rest of you get away. Then after the rest of you get away, I'll use a teleport spell so I get away. And it's like, given what I know of diamond dogs, and given how well they rolled on performance, you know what? That works. Go for it. Do that thing. That's fine. And it's really nice to have like a tabletop RPG where it's not just fight this thing, okay, now fight this thing, okay, but now fight this thing. To make a character is not just about, okay, but how high can I get my attacking numbers? Which is really nice. I remember a while back, I tried an RPG, I'm trying to remember the name of it, I can't remember the name of it, where you know what, I'll turn down the game while I'm slow. Is this good? This is probably good. Yeah, this is fine. I remember playing a tabletop game. I don't exactly remember the name of it, but I do remember that for character stats and whatnot, it's like, okay, for starting character, you have like 100 points. Here's all the things that you can spend points on. Go. And I'm amused that, like, well, one of the things you could get is you could pay 1 point for like a +4 to initiative. So I pointed out that, technically speaking, you could just have, like, a normal basic human person with basic normal human person stats, except they just have a +400 in initiative. Like, a person could do that. It wouldn't make for a good character. It wouldn't make for a fun or interesting character. But technically, one could just do that. And someone else pointed out, it's like, yeah, but I can spend, like, an action point. Anyone could just spend, like, an action point and be first in initiative anyway. So, it's like, a thing that I find rather often in RPGs that people don't tend to, address so much is that it's really hard to build a character that is exactly what you want of them. Like, say if you're playing D&D and you want a character who buffs up the party, it's like, okay, well, you could do a bard, but it's like, but I don't want to do music and stuff, or, you know, performance stuff. And it's like, well, okay, fine, you could play a wizard and, like, cast spells to buff the party. And that's basically, it's like, or if someone's like, oh, I want to do, like, music stuff, but I don't want to, I don't know, I don't want to buff or debuff, I want to do combat, but also do music. And it's like, well, I mean, bard can kind of do combat. Okay, whatever. It's like, okay, I want to be a rogue, but I don't care about the sneak attack stuff. I just want to, like, hide, pickpocket, steal, open locks, find traps. I don't want to combat, I just want to stealth stuff. It's like, yeah, well, that's still a rogue. Take your sneak attack die. Take your sneak attack die and be happy with it. It's like, but I don't want a sneak attack. It's like, well, too bad, you have to. Like, bite me, that's what you're doing. But in a game like this, you could just flat out be all the stealthy stuff. Yeah, and I know there's sheep here now. I remember that there was one part, was it a Shadowrun? I think it was in, where, like, if you want to be, like, okay as something, as a starting character, you essentially have to put all of your starting points into it, like, as much as possible. Like, say if you want to do combat, like, specifically small arms guns, you'd have to have, like, 25 dice in there. Whereas if you're trying to make a balanced character, you would put, like, maybe 7. Instead of, like, you know, 7 in small arms, 7 in medium arms, 7 in big arms. It's like, nope, put all of them into small arms. If you don't have, like, 20 dice in that, well then, you're just going to be overshadowed by someone who does. And even if you do have 20 dice in one particular thing, well then you'd be overshadowed by the person who's been playing several sessions and they have 50 dice in that. Like, as a starting character, even if you focus everything into one stat, your character is not going to be nearly as good as an experienced character, not strictly player, but just at least character, who has had more points to put into that same stat. It's like, oh hey, I want to be like, you know, I want to be a sneaky sneak, I want to sneak into things and stuff. It's like, okay, well we could send you with your, you know, 20 dice of stealth, or we could send the experienced person with 50 dice of stealth. Why would we ever send you? So it's like, okay, well, you have to put everything into one trait in order to be remotely acceptable at it, but even if you do, someone else has put everything into that one trait will still be better. So I remember I had a character who I put essentially all that I could into my melee attack, attacking with, like, knives and stuff. Yeah, and, like, survival, so character you get shot a few times and still be fine, you know. As good as I could of a physical melee combatant. And then I got paired up on a team with someone who's, like, playing a troll. Like, I had, like, you know, 12 hit points. They had, like, 36. I could do, like, a plus... I think it was only a plus 14, like, 14 dice to my attack. They had, like, 40 dice to attack. So I could not best them in combat. Like, we get into a combat against something, they kill the guy, and then I take my first turn. Because they also bested me insanely in initiative and every 10 points of initiative in Shadowrun, I think. It's been a while since I've played. But it's like if you get a... Yeah, I think it's initiative cycles down every 10 turns. So like say that character that I'd mentioned, it's like, yeah, with like a 400 initiative, you could take about, you know, 39 turns or so before someone gets one turn. Just have that character, even 0 dice and like shooting. Give them a gun with enough bullets, and they'll be able to take down the enemy, surely, eventually, unless they're immune to your gun. Just keep trying. But anyway, so yeah, they were getting like 40s on initiative, I was getting like 20, so they would be able to attack twice before I got my first turn. And usually that would just be enough to take out whatever enemy we were facing, unless we were facing a large group, in which case, during my, you know, 22, 12, and 2 initiatives, I might take out one enemy, maybe, and they would take out like 7. So it's like, okay, well, cannot possibly compete. But my character is also really good at stealth. And specifically stealth in physical space, which I never got paired up in the same group as someone. This is like a Grand Marshals type whatever game, so it wasn't like, hey, these 5 people all going to be playing games together. It was like, hey, these, you know, 100 people have, you know, 100 characters between them. Someone DMs, grabs 5 people who are interested. Grabs 5 players who are interested, they run their players through, whatever. Hence, characters of different, like, quote-unquote levels. Shadowrun doesn't really have a leveling system, but quote-unquote. But I was never in the same party as anyone else who did sneaking in meat space, physical space. There's, like, cyber stealths and magic stealths, but no, you know, physical stealth. And I'm saying for the 4th time that I was put in a group with. But I was absolutely paired up with in groups of people who do combat. Absolutely. Even melee combat. So when it finally came down to, like, say, sneak into a building or something, that's what my character was good at. So whenever someone had a, like, stealth mission that would require physical stealth, and I was available for the time of the session, I signed up for it. It's like, hey, you want to sneak into a place? Have I got a person for you? It's me. I still remember one mission that we did where we were supposed to sneak into a building but not kill any of the guards because we were specifically just doing a test of the security of a building. And, like, while we were... You know, we were escorted into the building, into one of the offices to talk to the person who worked there, blah, blah, blah. This is the drive that you'll be trying to steal. And while we're in there, I'm like, hey, since we're going to be breaking into here later, I would like to try to pickpocket one of the guards for their keys. For, like, their key card. It's like, alright, y'all. Between the parties' common knowledge, they'll probably replace this tomorrow, so we can break in tonight. And we successfully broke in and everything was fine. And it's like, yeah. A player session is basically 4 hours of people planning what the heck are we going to do. And then my character actually gets a chance to shine, and it's like, alright, let's actually do the thing that we planned. I'd, you know, hide, I had sneak, I had... Yeah, I had, like, all the hide stats, I had the sneak stats, I had all of the stuff that we needed. For stealth, I had, like, special chameleon armor, whatever, all of that stuff. And then I also had enough physical stats to be able to attack with weapons that would not be loud, you know, like a knife instead of a gun. The character was not a fighter who can also sneak. The character was a sneak who can also fight. Not needed on every single run. Of course, I would not argue that. You don't need that on every run, but on the runs where you need it, it's useful. Yeah, if you happen to need someone to sneak through, it's good if, you know, if they do get caught, that they don't just immediately die to whatever. And that was my character, because that troll fighter character, with, yeah, sure, they can fight a heck of a lot better than my character, but they can't sneak worth a darn. And anyone who's like, oh, well, just use firearms instead of a knife. Firearms are way better. Firearms are way better. If you don't care about noise, because even with the silencer, that just, like, even with the silencer, it doesn't make the shots actually silent. They just get, like, 2 less dice on their notice rolls, which means they're still going to find out. NPC notice rolls are enough dice that lowering it by 2, there's still a very good chance that they'll hear you, especially if you fire more than once. Or, especially if you, A, fire more than once, such as if you're using a small weapon to shoot, or B, you fire a large weapon where the notice DC is a lot lower, so even if you only take 1 shot with, say, what, assault rifle? Well, assault rifles are kind of automatic, but even if you only take 1 shot with, say, a shotgun, it's like, okay, well, the DC to notice that, even with the silencer, is 3. Like, they're going to find it. They're going to hear this. It doesn't matter if you have a silencer. But the DC to hear, say, a knife is, like, you know, no, they don't get a DC to notice that a knife got used. They might get a DC to notice, like, a person calling for help, but if you can kill the person before they call for help, then no, any guards in, like, the next room over don't get a notice roll to detect that. Again, from what I can recall. So it's like, okay, yeah, sure, I could use a gun, or I could try to do what my character is built for and actually stealth. Get some BioWare and stuff to help sneak around. Get stuff for climbing, get stuff for hacking into doors and stuff. Most of the time it's someone hiding out in cyberspace telling my character where to go and what to do, and then my character just doing it. It's like, okay, I've hacked into all of, like, the cameras and stuff in the building. I've set them so you won't be seen on any of the cameras, but I can look ahead and find guards for you that come down. It's like, okay, you made it into, you know, this office room. Alright, stay there. There's a guard out in the hallway. It's like, okay, well, let me know when... And then use, like, telepathy to talk to them so my character's voice doesn't get heard. It's like, okay, well, let me know when their back is turned to me so I can go for them. It's like, oh no, wait, they're going into a different room. Hold on. Okay, they're in the other room. Go. It's like, okay, can you lock the door behind them so it'll take them longer to get out? Okay, cool. Say, okay, go down to... It's like, go to room 707. I've unlocked the door for you. It's like... It's like, okay, perfect. You know, just stealthing issues. Not even issues, just being sneaky. And it's like... Yeah, that's what my character does, because you have to find a role that is useful, but that no one else has tried. And I definitely deviated from the topic that I was trying to talk about, which was very different, of just making the character that you want to make. I remember once I played some RPG, and there was this option in a, I want to say a splash book, that we were allowed to use. That was essentially, if your character gets into dire straits, you get an extra, however many points it was, 20 points, whatever. And these will modify your character in whatever forms that you have pre-selected. So essentially, when you go down to, when you're in a very tough spot, or like down to like 10% health or whatever, suddenly your character will get a whole bunch of boosts. I think it costs like 5 points and give you like 20 points. Now, the troll play is to get that, then spend those 20 points to get that 4 more times. And then just, you know, keep doing that infinitely. But no, it doesn't stack, obviously. So what I did for my character... Cool. So what I did for my character was I, you know, gave them normal, whatever, stats and stuff. But for Dire Straits, like, okay, spend these points to go from, like, medium size to large size, these points to get, like, extra armor class and stuff, these points to get, like, a fire breathing ability, these points to get a corrosion touch ability. I remember that. Anything you touch, it's like you're made of acid and you just start melting it. And I tried to make it so essentially, when my character gets into Dire Straits, she turns into a dragon. We never actually did have a session of that game, which is very unfortunate. Once again, I don't remember what that game was, but I thought that that was a very nice thing. You think you're fighting against this human, blah 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 blah. You almost kill them, and then boom, dragon form! AC just shoots up, like, talking it. I think it was more than just, you know, only 20 points. Maybe it was a whole extra 100 points. I don't know. Whatever it was. Just, you get into Dire Straits, boom, dragon form. That I made using canon things of that game. One character build that I did have to get approval from the DM for. This one was a more superheroes-based one. This one did have classes. And I chose one that looked interesting, but also woefully underpowered. So, I was new to the game, wanted to talk to the DM about why this one is so much weaker. In the book, as written, you had the ability where you can make a clone of yourself. However, like, you could control, like, yourself and the clone fully, so there's no, like, oh, who's the original or whatever. It's like, no, you know who the original is. The clone has none of your gear, equipment, clothing, but does have whatever other powers you have. But unfortunately, since you're not allowed to multi-class, the clone gets, you know, the ability of your class that's just make a clone of yourself, except that the clone does not have the ability to make a clone of itself. So it has all of your powers, except for the one power that your character has. So you just make a naked copy of yourself. That's the ability. So I talked to the DM about it. It's like, yeah, it's like this class, you're an epic sniper. This class, you're like, you know, pro elite hacker. This one, you have like cyber, like nanobots and stuff. It's like, why is this one so weak? Like, it looks interesting. Why is it so weak? And then the DM agreed that it was weak and decided to homebrew it. Or, you know, modify it, whatever. So instead of having essentially nothing with it, I would... I'm trying to remember it while also playing. Instead of, you know, the clone, making one clone and has nothing, I could make, I think it was 5 clones out. I could have up to 5 clones at once. And they would have all of my gear and equipment and clothing and stuff, except for any artifacts I had. Could not clone artifacts that way. And if they dropped any of the things that my character was holding, those things would just disappear. So couldn't, you know, replicate items permanently. However, if my character had a gun on them, and the clone made a clone and copied it, the clone would be able to shoot people. So it's like, okay. Have the character going around with, like, you know, dual guns at their hips, fully loaded, guns that they never themselves fire, but if we do get into, like, combat, then the clones have a pair of guns. Each one of my clones has, you know, 2 guns on them. I think I could only afford the 2 guns as a starting character, so... with my other gear, like armor and stuff, so... And then, you know, have 10 full clips of guns ready for every combat. Which, you know, level 1, that's plenty. But of course, the character wasn't just there for the combat. It was, oh, hey, we need to split up. Okay, everybody take me with you. It's like, okay, we have, you know, party of 6, we're going to be split up. It's like, okay, so this group has, like, you know, the wizard, the knight, and 3 rogues. This one has, like, the aristocrat, the barbarian, and 3 rogues. Like, in sheer combat, my character was, like, not the best, but, I mean, 6 okay characters instead of just 1 good character. For one mission, we found a schoolhouse that had been taken over by bad guys. And there was still a class that was, like, stuck inside. We took out the baddies that were, you know, terrorizing that classroom. And we were all like, okay, well, we should probably have someone look after the class to, you know, make sure that the bad guys don't come back and kill them. And I went, yo, I got it! Leave one of my characters with them. Yeah, she'll keep them safe enough. Yeah, in case, you know, the baddies come back, she'll keep them safe. So I didn't actually have to lose my character, I just had 1 less clone when we kept going forward. And everything was fine. And what I find most interesting about all of this stuff with my characters that I've been talking about, all of these characters have been builds of Morrisa, one of my characters. I don't know what it is, I just really like building her, because when I get to do something really weird and strange, like, she is essentially rogue with a knife. Who's just a little bit, off-centered. Shadowrun character, physical infiltration, stabs people. It's like, yep, that's Morrisa. Being able to turn into a dragon, that was a bit much for her, but... I mean, acid touch, melt things, yeah, that's fine. Again, 6 Morrisas. And it was only during the next combat encounter that I just mused to the party. You know, it's really interesting that y'all decided to leave a class full of children alone with Morrisa. And everybody was just, oh no. She didn't harm the kids, she's just chaotic evil. She could have harmed the kids, but they were good. I think she shot the teacher, though. I think the teacher was secretly evil and she found out and shot the teacher. I do remember that we facing off against a super annoying baddie. We had a couple of sessions just to track them down. Morrisa got to do some social infiltration. It is kind of rare for her. Using help from another character, Morrisa got gene spliced to look similar to an NPC, like, businessman. Not just businessman, NPC CEO. And concocted a whole backstory that she was his illegitimate daughter. And it's like, oh... It's like, okay, yeah, because he did go out to, like, so-and-so other city some, like, this many years ago. It's like, okay, make Morrisa look that many years minus 1 old, like, you know. And then just sneak in, lie, etc. Except, after getting allowed into the building where they had detected, it's like, yep, this person has no weapons or anything. They had to disarm her of her knife, like, how dare they. She was alone in the bathroom, no exit to it, but fancy person bathroom, plenty of places to hide. She made a clone of herself, and then the real Morrisa hid, like, in the cupboard. Fake Morrisa went out, they checked the bathroom, no one else in there, because there's not supposed to be anyone else. They didn't examine every cupboard, because why would they? She didn't have any weapons or bombs or anything. They know the place is clean. Fake Morrisa tried to do some social infiltration. Real Morrisa snooped around to try to find evidence. Social and physical infiltration at the same time. It was awesome. It didn't go well. The guy knew that he didn't sleep with anyone, and so Morrisa couldn't have been his daughter. And they decided, it's like, oh, she's probably just some crazy girl who grew up on lies from her mom about her dad actually being someone important. Let's just send her back home then. So, you know, some people loaded up the Morrisa clone in the car and decided to just drive away, and I'm sure they got a surprise eventually. And then, you know, big old fight through the guy's bodyguards, basically through his personal army. Got some sort of artifact, giant gun thing. Faced off with the guy. Managed to, you know, get him down, and then the cops came to arrest him. And then one of Morrisa's clones, quote-unquote, accidentally shot the guy in the leg with their SMG. Although the DM thought that she was trying to shoot him with the artifact gun, which would have destroyed his leg. No, just accidental shoot with the SMG from the clone. And the real Morrisa standing right next to the clone just goes, "Oh, my finger slipped." Like, I do not care about you or your well-being, sir. If I could get away with killing you right now, I absolutely would. Morrisa is fun, because, like, some people can't play non-good alignments well. Some people, like, okay, party, you want to do good, you want to, like, you know, slay the dragon, rescue the princess, save the townsfolk. Like, that's your goal. Yeah, you do that, you get a reward, that's your goal. People playing chaotic neutral, oh, I'm gonna kill off the rest of the party and take all the supplies and run away from this campaign because it's what my character would do. And the DMs are like, how do I punish the player for doing that? Here's how you punish the player. Cool, let's retcon that. That didn't happen, you're kicked from the group. Goodbye. It's like, cool, that didn't happen. Anyway. But, like, with Morrisa, it's like, ooh, we get to fight dragon? Cool, yeah, fight dragon. Whatever, it's like, but you're doing a good thing for town. I want fight dragon. Yeah, Morrisa acts dumb, but she's smart enough to know that if she is obviously evil, you know, in front of a place of authority, she's going to get punished for it. So many people's, like, RPG characters, mostly D&D, but you mostly only hear about D&D, or I mostly hear about D&D, they go, oh, we're talking to the king at, like, a royal, you know, public ceremony with, like, dozens of people around? I want to moon the king! It's like, why would you do that? Because I'm chaotic neutral and it's funny! Alright, cool, your character gets executed. I hope your next character actually has some common sense. Yeah, that's Morissa's superpower. She actually has common sense. It's like, oh, it's the king. Now I want to kill the king, but I'm not going to say that. And if I don't have any mental protections, I'm not even going to think that. Just going to, you know, cloud my mind with the most simple thoughts possible. Hey, let's get some food. You know, let's play with the snakes. We fight dragon? Who is this princess? Just, yep, that's what... Push to the forefront the most simple of thoughts so people underestimate her, so when she actually does decide to do something strictly for her own sake, it comes out as a surprise. Morrisa, the genius character who pretends to be an absolute idiot. Not so much an absolute idiot. Who pretends to be a simpleton to get people off their guard. Yeah, if she spends, you know, the whole campaign, you know, perching on tables and fighting with wild animals for food, and then you don't really pay much mind to the part where she, say, you know, goes and tracks down an entire deer. Yeah, where she goes down and captures, kills, and then eats an entire deer. Because that's just Morrisa doing Morrisa things. And for some reason, I expected Azura to just pop in right there, but I'm not in Discord VC, so of course she isn't going to. Yeah, can we have some Morrisa appreciation time? Okay, thanks. Drink, 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 drink. Oh my gosh, my max HP is over 361. Yeah, I know, I probably saw it earlier. I wasn't paying enough attention to that, though. Okay, so, yeah. Morrisa is definitely the character for, I want to do insane things, and I don't want... whatever. But it's like, yeah, I currently have her in a D&D game. I think I had mentioned her at some point. Where the whole party is rather OP. Like, one of the party members has a weapon that can attack for plus 22 or so. It's like a plus 22 to hit that deals about 40 damage if it hits something. And Morrisa, with only 2 class levels, she's ECL 5, but she only has 2 class levels, has, I think it's 36 AC. So, if she were to get in a fight against that party member, there's a solid chance that they wouldn't be able to hit her. Not just, oh, the 5% chance that they could roll a 1. It's like, no, there's, you know, 50-50 odds. Pretty much. That should just be fine. What do I have for... But, because I stack up charisma like crazy. Oops, sorry. So her charisma is a plus 8. She's immune to all mind-affecting things. And, let's see, as immediate action, she can get damage reduction 5. For a round, yes. She has regeneration, except for fire and acid, but she also has fast healing, in case she takes damage, actual physical, harmful damage. She doesn't have a ton of health points, so if she does get hit by that one party member, she will go down. But since it's not fire or acid damage, she will live. But then they can just, you know, behead her and she'll be dead. And it's like, okay, well, why is Morrisa, you know, partying around with them? Like, well, the party first, or Morrisa first found the party, in, quote-unquote, the labyrinth. Big old maze of a place that she had been trapped in. Stated in her backstory that she's been trapped there for an unknown number of years. She's part Fae, it could have been centuries. She finds them, notices that they're fighting each other for some weird reason, but by the time she finishes fighting the other monsters that are around, there's a brain in the jar that had hypnotized that one same party member into attacking their friends, so Morrisa killed the brain in the jar's allies, and I think also killed the brain in the jar. Or at least fought it off until the party killed it, one way or the other. Found them, they didn't immediately try to kill her over all of this, and in fact brought her out of the labyrinth, and she's all like, oh hey! Well, these people, they don't want me dead right now. And they saved me from the labyrinth, and they're really not questioning my motives about things so much. They just lost a friend, so they seem to be looking for a new one, and they seem... Yeah, it's like, they don't really care about my motives, and they're like welcoming me in their group, or at least allowing me to join up with their group for the most part. So I don't have any reason to, you know, kill them or run away from them. They don't really have anything that I want, so I have no reason to steal from them. That's a big thing. It's like, Morrisa doesn't tend to necessarily want for stuff. Like, stuff, things. She will fight and kill for excitement. See, and if I turn against them and I don't immediately kill all of them, or manage to get away, they'll murder me. So, if something happens and they do start to turn hostile, I will do my best to leave, but until then, might as well hang out with them. Morrisa doesn't want to be alone. Yeah, they get her. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, she's chaotic evil, but doesn't matter if you're chaotic, you still have to have some sort of a reason for doing things. And she has no reason to screw them over or leave. So she doesn't. I think it was... the whole chaotic evil argument was stated really well in the Friendship is Dragons page. That was like, but you're chaotic evil, you can't want to stay with the party. It's like, so what if I'm chaotic evil? That means I get to do what I want, and you can't give me nonsense about it. And so if I want to stay with this group and play pretend with pastel ponies, then I am free to do that as I wish. And you can't tell me what I can do, what I can't. You can't tell me what I do or do not want to do. Oh, was it? In the future. And you can try all you want to tell me that it is or is not what I want to do. I'm chaotic evil, so I'm not listening. And it's like, yeah, but again, too many people try to play chaotic neutral characters as the millennial XD so random phase. If anyone was around for that. I think that was about 2005 to 2010, I think it was. That era of, OMG, I'm so random. Wheelbarrow! Ha ha ha, I'm so random because I said the word wheelbarrow with no reason to say it. Applesauce! XD, so random. Rawr. Yeah, I was annoyed by everyone doing that back when people started doing that. And I was a millennial, like, that was the thing of my people, and I was sick of it as soon as it started. But of course, like, I understand that most DMs don't want to play, don't want to, you know, run a game with evil, or especially not chaotic evil characters. Heck, some people try to play chaotic good characters, and it's like, oh, this beggar is asking for money? I'm going to slit their throat because I'm chaotic, lol XD rar. And it's like, yeah, you don't know the meaning of words. So yeah. Yeah, when it comes to me... Yeah, I have a few specific different characters, and they have I want to say vastly different, but not necessarily vastly different. But they have different ways of how themselves as characters work as builds for various games. Lee is a sword fighter, often does not use a shield. I try to spice things up with the D&D game with making Lee basically uses a shield but does not actually use a sword. That's been going so-so. Honestly, probably would have been better off just putting all that money from the shield into a big fancy sword, but, you know, it works so far. Lee also generally has magic, but self-buffing magic. A sword fighter using self-buffs to make themselves a better sword fighter than just a flat fighter would be, based off of arguments that I have heard in D&D that say a wizard could make for a better fighter than a fighter, because they can use spells to make their numbers higher than just being a flat fighter. Because fighters really get the short end of the stick in D&D, like, sorry to say, but they really do. So yeah, playing Lee as a... what is it? A battle sorcerer. So, you know, a sorcerer who gets, what is it, one less spell per day, per spell level, and one less spell known per spell level. However, they have proficiency with one martial weapon, and with light armor, and they don't have to take the spell failure chance of fighting with light armor. So no one would expect the person with, like, a long sword in chainmail, chain shirt, or mithril chainmail, really. Yeah, no one would expect them of being a sorcerer. And I've actually run Lee like that once, but it didn't go well because I was rolling for my health every level. And I think Battle Sorcerer has like a D8 of health, and I think my average roll was like 3. Like, at level 8, I had, I think it was 20 or so less health than I would have had if I had just taken the average. So I was trying to be the party's tank, but, like, I was already low on hit points, and I rolled, like, I already have a slightly... No, is it a D8? I think it's a D6. Yeah, because I think sorcerers are normally a 4, so Battle Sorcerer was a D6, I think. But I was rolling, like, 1s and 2s. I think it was, like, really bad. So at, like, level 8, I had, like, 30 or so health instead of, like, 50 like I should have. It was not good.
Good evening.
Oh my gosh, it's, wait, the end of summer already? Wow, it is. I believe all my watering has been done. Let's go to the school.
Good evening.
Oh, I'm using that school, thank you. So, the whole thing, being a mage without actually telling the party that the character is a mage, and just, yeah, start of day, cast a mage armor on self, like, you know, spend some time away from the party, cast mage armor on self, bless self, all that stuff. Bless, what is it, heroism, trying to find spells that I can use in combat that can be fluffed as fancy martial abilities. Celerity is a good one. It's like, oh, the enemy's going to attack my teammate who's on low health? Excuse me real quick, I would like to instead go up to that teammate and attack the enemy instead. Thank you. Or like, yeah, Lee raises their magnificent silver-coated shield and it's like, Rest your hand upon my shield and feel the blessing of the light. Meanwhile, just using some feats to get, like, healing. Yeah, heal the party back up to half after every encounter. And then every night, if Lee is injured, they just heal themselves back up to full using a spell that they got from our feet. So yeah, how's your health? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine, it's fine, I'm fine. How's your health, Lee? Better than yours. So let me protect you.
Good evening.
I want to play a video game where I get to make a character and just play and just go Morrisa again. Just play a game, make a nice Morrisa character, and just have some fun with it. Like, you know? She's a fun character to play. Actually, that's a good question. Just... Okay, very little XP. Seeing how easy these things are to defeat, that's not necessarily a problem. Maybe I could fight the... I was just thinking maybe I could fight another boss, and I realized I don't need to do that right now. Also, I've been trying to find random people online to roleplay and stuff with, make some little stories together, because too lazy to just write stories on my own anymore, apparently. Plus, there are a few stories I've been wanting to play with people for, actually, for some of them for years now, that I don't know why I don't want to just write them as a story by myself. It can be really fun to write a story with someone. You just have to get the right person, and the only real way to find the right person is to keep testing people until you find someone. That sounds bad. Keep trying until you find someone who works. Heck, I once wrote a story with someone where I was writing... I think my maximum was 20 different characters at once. Big groups. I had a story once where the central plot was a war in a fantasy world. So, you know, characters using magic and special abilities and stuff. Sundrop Arisen, who does not need to sleep or eat or any of that stuff, fighting on the front lines of the war day in, day out. Never getting any rest. Yeah, Sundrop Arisen is a very interesting take because she takes the typical monk stance. No weapons, no armor. But she goes a step further than that, and also no magic. Forsakes the use of all magic as well. No weapons, armor, or magic. So when I say that I like to do like monk runs of games, like I'm more or less doing for Rune Factory here, it's really more of a Sundrop Arisen run. Notably for Sundrop runs like this, I tend to have exceptions where, like say in this game, I'm not using other magic, but I am using the escape spell just because of its usefulness. Like, I don't necessarily have to, it's just the game goes by a bit faster if I do. It's not strictly helping me in combat, but it is helping me grind, because the, 20 in-game minutes it would take to run home, I can instead use to, like, grind a few more, kill an extra enemy or two, and then teleport home. In a bigger game, like Rune Factory 5, the escape spell is much, much more useful. But in this game, not as useful as it is in Rune Factory 5. At Rune Factory 4, I'd almost be tempted to do a no airship run. You actually have to run out to the places that you go to and can't just warp there. But again, it's just, okay, so you spend some of your time doing some lame thing instead of actually, playing the game. You just do a chore in the game. Well, so yeah, monk runs in games some more, Sundrop runs, and yeah. I've had a number. Yeah, playing D&D, I really like the usage of templates. I just making such odd characters through the use of templates. Oh shoot. I once made an NPC that had a maximum hit point value of 1, but they had so much in the way of, like, defenses and stuff that they basically couldn't even be hit, and thus couldn't really even be killed. And some of you are thinking, oh, magic missile. And no, they had protection from magic missile as well. Really lagging a lot for all of this. Oh my gosh, that was so bloody close. Anyway, I don't know how I managed to do an entire hour like that, but it looks like I have some Discord messages and I might have some RP messages as well, so hopefully I'll actually get some interest in a potential Death Note roleplay where, yes, I will be playing as Morrisa. It's fun to take stories and twist them a little bit. Death Note, you can have other people assist in the murder of the Death Note targets in a very real way, because there have been people who've been, say, run over from the effects of the Death Note. But, like, if somebody is compelled to the use of the Death Note to run someone over in what would likely be perceived as an accident, what if that person then somehow gets charged for murder and then executed down the line? Would the Death Note see that that is a thing that would happen and thus cancel the accidental death and change it to just a heart attack instead? It's like, imagine, one, someone actually getting impacted by the use of the Death Note and accidentally killing someone. I don't know, they're up on a building, they drop something off of it, Death Note target down below gets hit in the head with, like, a book or whatever and dies. But imagine one particular person over and over again keeps being the one to accidentally kill people. They killed 10 people over the span of, like, a month, all by accident. Just driving along, someone jumps in front of them, they can't swerve in time, dead. They drop a book off of a building, by the time they get down to the bottom to grab it, they find out that their book killed someone. Like, they're at a gun range, just firing rounds for the sake of practice. A bullet manages to go through the wall and shoot someone. It's like, imagine what kind of psychological damage that would take on someone to be the tool used as a form of death. And then if they were investigated in the Kira case, like, oh hey, you seem to be killing a lot of people, it's like, yes, and I don't know why, please stop it. It seems like everything I do kills people. Don't let me touch it. Don't let me use any sharp objects or you might die as well. This is not a threat. I am scared. Help. But except like Morrisa, so she's actually like really interested in the idea, but she has to put up a front of making it seem all like accidental, which it was accidental, but then she feels like, well, if they believe all of that was accidental, maybe I should try doing some on purpose and pretend that that is accidental. And then the cue is like, why are extra people dying? You know, add a layer of obscurity, a layer of who knows what the heck is going on top of the pie that's filled with layers of who knows what the heck is going on of like Death Note. You know, fun.